Alright, everybody. This is a little bit more of a serious topic, and I know that people have been so excited to hear my take on this because of reasons that I'll get into in a moment, because I guess it is somewhat relevant backstory, I guess, for you guys to know my relation to this situation. But as you can imagine, I actually don't want to use this segment as, like, an I told you so type thing. The fact is that the person who's been accused of these awful things that I'm going to get into in a moment is a fairly known person in this space, and I do feel a responsibility to voice support for the aggrieved in the situation. But I know that due to the history I have with the individual involved, it's going to come off a certain way to some people. So I ask that you guys please don't, like, use this as some sort of, like, drama-mongering, like, I told you so party thing. I don't even know how to describe it. Just, can you guys promise me to be respectful of the required seriousness of the situation? Alright, so, there is a content creator in this space by the name of Sophie from Mars. She is a lefty video essayist, I believe. I actually am not very familiar with her content itself. All I know is that my first ever interaction with her was years ago when I was falsely accused of having a sex cult. Now, at the time, pretty much everybody on the left, even some people that I was pretty good friends with, was kind of believing the allegations because I hadn't had the time to make my response with all their receipts yet. However, one person put out support for these allegations, and after the evidence came out that they weren't true, never revoked them. And that, of course, was my introduction to Sophie from Mars. This was the tweet that kind of introduced me to her. I love saying Xanderhal had a sex cult far more than I love carrot cake, and I love carrot cake a lot. Obviously, this tweet has been thoroughly dunked on, plenty, way more than needs to be added onto by this stream. It's funny because the reason I bring this up is that Sophie from Mars was the reason the DJ Mule video, the famous DJ Mule video on me, was even made in the first place. I'm not even joking. That video by DJ Mule was made on me because of Sophie from Mars and their friendship.
So, talking about bad faith, this is bad faith in its entirety. While Xanderhal is talking about this, his chat further adds to the narrative that Sophie is a monster, calling her a psycho amongst other bad faith arguments. Who is this Sophie? It's not the Sophie I know. The one that I've spent literal days with, who loves and cares about her friends. She loves and cares about her comrades so much and is desperate to get people to change the horrific world that we live in. I certainly wouldn't call her a psycho.
Thank you, DJ Mule. So, funnily enough, I actually did not remember what, like, Sophie from Mars had done to slight me whenever I heard about the news that came out a couple days ago. I'd actually not heard, I'd not remembered it. And I had to, like, get my memory jogged by Cherry, because at this point, there's been sort of a long line of people who've done this kind of stuff, so it's like, what did Sophie from Mars do again? Wait, what was her... Oh, okay. Well, that's sort of like a reminder of who she is. This has sort of been her interactions with me and my community to this point. On top of that, apparently, I just got this as well. I didn't actually see this before. Apparently, on top of that, she supported Lonnie, my abusive ex. This is when I quote tweeted Lonnie with the evidence, like, of the arrest record and everything that was debunking her story. And Sophie from Mars quote tweeted it saying, "This guy and his fans are delighting in publicly shaming his addict girlfriend after he made her homeless and stole her cat. He's posting her arrest record on Twitter. Xanderhal is actual scum. If you follow him, literally block me." Yeah, so basically, you know, pretty standard Xan derangement syndrome stuff from her. Well, that's kind of the least relevant thing that has to do with her to what we're discussing today. because that is far from the worst thing she's done, as it turns out. Like accusing me of random bullshit. I mean, that was kind of cringe, but this is just downright evil. Alice Avizandum? It's an interesting name. I apologize that I'm not good at pronouncing it. Alice posted this on Twitter a couple days ago. I have to talk about some bad things that happened. I wish I didn't. Sophie from Mars McAllister, Sophia McAllister, I guess, is a danger to other trans women. We are a group of trans women who have been harmed by Sophie. Some of us have dated and been in relationships with her. Many others have hooked up with her. She has been abusive, controlling, indifferent to our consent or its absence, and catastrophically selfish. Some of us have been permanently physically scarred. Some of us have had drugs pressured on us. All of us have been left seriously hurt, both emotionally and physically. We believe this represents a pattern of calculated, intentional abuse by Sophie, and that there may be many more people she has harmed. We are publicizing this because the Whisper Network was not enough to protect us. If Sophie had a reputation for being unsafe, we either did not hear about it or gave her the benefit of the doubt. We believe that for the safety of the community, she must be linked to concrete, tangible harms. As trans women, we neither trust nor want the authorities to be involved in this case. An institutionally transphobic system of criminal justice has no business here. We would not wish it on our worst enemy, and it would make us all less safe. We ask that everyone respect our wishes on this. Whatever follows this, and however Sophie chooses to respond, any process of accountability and who participates in it as an individual decision rather than a collective one. The one thing we can confidently say we all share in feeling is that Sophie's actions must be known about so they can never happen again. In solidarity, Amy Etherington? Morwenna Afon Emrys, that person's related to the Emperor from The Witcher 3. Alice Caldwell Kelly, Astrid Johnson, and Maisie Bell. So these are the people who've come together to make allegations against Sophie from Mars of abuse. Xanderhal, a lot of people hide so much behind their politics to make themselves seem like good people in public. I know, I've been saying this for years. Yeah. It turns out that just because someone's on the left and has progressive politics doesn't mean they're a good person. She goes on to say, I'm assuming that she, trans women makes me assume she pronouns, right? Like, am I misgendering here? I know trans women that don't go by she pronouns, she, her pronouns, so correct me if I'm wrong. Difficult to articulate what I want to say personally here. This is maybe a strange thing to say about a woman whose cigarette burns you are still healing from. But I can't make myself hate Sophie. I don't want to destroy her or her career. But here, there has to be a warning. She, they? Okay, cool. After the day she gave me those burns, I spoke to her about it privately, and she was very contrite and insisted it was just me and a one-time thing, and I felt a bit managed. And the second I pulled on the thread, I found how many times this pattern had worked itself out. It's been one of those situations where the more I think about it, the more I remember, the worse I feel. Even about things that in this moment I enjoyed or in the moment I thought I enjoyed or thought I did, and I thought that's a common experience with her. What I want out of this is practically almost nothing. You don't even have to stop watching her content if she keeps making it. I just want her not to be able to convince anyone else that it's their unique extreme nature that makes her want to act like this, because it isn't. Another thing I don't want or need is an apology. I'm not going to get into the, is this apology good enough, because it doesn't matter to me. I don't care about her intentions or her accountability or her process. All I want is for it to stop happening. If she wants to go and get therapy or something, good for her. But, and this is the first comparison that comes to mind, and it's so untactful as to be really funny, it's like quitting smoking. You get whatever help you need, but the only real test is whether you stop doing it. Fair. I'd say someone just wanting her to stop is pretty fair. Now here's the thing though. There are people in this that do not like Sophie from Mars that are trying to kind of capitalize on this rather than directing support towards Alice, and obviously the other people who've been victimized by Sophie. Which should be the primary thing, is like signaling support for them and telling them that they're not alone, that they have support, that we believe them, right? Here's some more tweets from her. Apparently Sean had, quote tweeted a tweet from Sophie from Mars that said, Sean Head, boot on tongue, is a fascist sympathizer and always has been. She wrote this while putting a cigarette out on her partner's skin. And, Irrational Chad, aka Chud Logic, replies to Sean Head, certainly an odd way to put out the British word for cigarettes. And of course, one of the people who is victimized by Sophie from Mars quote tweets them, or I guess screenshots it, saying repulsive fascists because they are fascists. She goes on to say, was not prepared for the secondary violation of feeling a shitty thing that happened to me become a spectator sport. Andy Nyo getting into this clown car as well. I have to stop following this. These people make me sick. In their own way, they're just as exploitative, and I mean that. Trying to weaponize this is inexcusable. Don't use this as some, showboaty thing. I easily could have done, some, I was right about her thing. But that's pretty immature when we're considering the fact that multiple people here have been abused. And the point of putting this out wasn't to end careers. It wasn't to drop nukes or get big gotchas. It was to dispel the veil of fake niceness that Sophie from Mars has that has allowed her to get away with abusing so many people. Not just abusing them, but by the sounds of it, gaslighting them into believing that they are the ones responsible for her behavior, that they're just making her act that way. This behavior has to stop, and that is, by all accounts, what I can tell, the primary goal of her victims, is to make her stop by making this public. There's another tweet as well, and obviously I want to give as much airtime to this person as I can. Peter Coffin got screenshotted, fuck Peter Coffin of course, saying, Sophie from Mars is being cancelled, and I'm going to say this, though I doubt it will be popular. This really isn't the way to change anything. You're just going to make her defensive. Assuming it's true and she needs to change her behavior, this will incentivize her not to. Ah yes, dogpiling her will just make her not want to stop abusing her partners. Ah, cool. Cancel machines often have ulterior motives too. As much as she's acted hostile towards me, there's likely more going on than is understood presently. Whether she's done anything wrong or not, keep eyes more on Nebula than any one individual. What? I have no idea what he's talking about there in that last part. Turning from one ring of the circus to another to say, shut the fuck up, Peter, you stupid dickhead. Yeah, no, Peter should shut the fuck up. I hate Peter Coffin. Yeah, no, completely based. Absolutely based and justified. Obviously, the best person to let speak here is Alice and the other people involved who've made their statement, which is why I've spent most of this just kind of reading their statements for you guys, so you can all see it without having to read, because I know many of you guys will never read. Never ever read. You're just like me. You hate reading. But I force myself to do it so you guys don't have to. And then, of course, to finish this off, we've got Sophie from Mars's response. Nebula might kick Sophie from Mars off their video network. Ah, yeah, they probably should, to be fair. I mean, just as a good business decision, they probably should. You know, I obviously we're not trying to root for a downfall, but if she's using her platform to abuse people, and that's not going to change, then the platform itself in her hands is dangerous. Anyway, she responds, taking responsibility. I have recently been made aware of serious harm for which I am responsible. I have had my behavior described to me, and I'm horrified. And having heard the descriptions of my behavior, I entirely agree with what people have said. Only I can know my intentions. Everyone else can only judge my actions. Therefore, I'm going to do the only thing I can and focus entirely on changing in ways that make sure I never hurt anyone again. The kindness of people that you have hurt is an impossibly precious thing, and I don't intend to squander it. I'm staying away from everyone who I've hurt, and will wait for anyone who wants to contact me for anything to reach out. I'm committed to engaging in any process of accountability that is wanted of me. praised ChatGPT. Did somebody, like, not copy-paste this apology into ChatGPT and find that it was 100%, like, match? To be fair, that, like, matching system is not very reliable. It says all sorts of things that are completely organic are written by ChatGPT, so it could just be a very PR response. But with ChatGPT being a thing now, it's really hard to say when something so robotic comes out. It doesn't really feel like any responsibility or accountability has been taken here. I feel like when somebody has done something wrong and they take accountability publicly, typically they end up telling the rest of the story even if it doesn't make them look good, you know? Just like letting it all out there, showing that she has no desire to even hide what she did. I don't know. I don't want to armchair psychoanalyze. It's just sort of my commentary. Frankly, I don't accept her apology for numerous reasons. For one, the people who have been victimized already said they won't accept her apology and do not care. And also, I've got no reason to. The fact that she's straight up admitted to the behavior as well means this isn't really allegations anymore, is it? She's kind of just... I have recently been made aware of serious harm for which I am responsible. I have had my behavior described to me, and I'm horrified. So yeah, like, just straight up admitting that she did it, but did not apologize. There was no sorry. She didn't say I apologize, and she didn't say sorry. That is true. That is true. Yeah, I totally didn't notice that. You're right. There is no actual I'm sorry here. This almost feels like a, I'm gonna go inactive until you guys forget about it type thing. I really hope that's not what this is, but, you know, I guess it'd be the most PR intelligent response for her to have, if I'm being honest. It's sad to see. There'll be a link down below to all of the related tweets from her victims, so you guys can go send support, go follow, go like, go retweet, go boost. Maybe even go send, like, financial support if there's a way through which you can do so. So, yeah, please, go do that. Go send some support. Link will be down below in the description.